Jon Jones is back. Francis Ngannou is gone. Dana White is lying about that. So much to cover. Let's get to it. So the last time we saw Jon Jones in the octagon was February of 2020 in a fight against Dominic Reyes, a fight that a lot of people believed Jon Jones lost. Fast forward to August of 2020 and Jon Jones confirms on Twitter that he is vacating the light heavyweight title, and he explains why. I vacated the light heavyweight championship because I knew my heavyweight goals were going to take some time. I wasn't going to play games with the contenders and make people fight interim championship belts. There's little rest on the throne. And so with that, Jon Jones is done with the light heavyweight division, and the expectation now is that the next time we see Jon Jones in the octagon is going to be in the heavyweight division. But then that raises a lot of questions, right? How long is it going to take Jon Jones to gain the weight correctly? Who is he going to fight? Does he need a warm-up fight? What's going to happen to the light heavyweight division that he just left? So many questions, but also a significant amount of excitement. Especially because Francis Ngannou is the champion in the heavyweight division, and if Jon Jones were to fight the champion in the heavyweight division, because, well, that's what's most likely going to happen considering Jon Jones's star power and his accomplishments, he'll be fighting Francis Ngannou. A massive fight, potentially the biggest fight we've ever seen in the UFC, next to Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. But of course, nothing is ever that easy, because even though Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou would love to fight each other, no one can seem to come to an agreement. Jon Jones wants a significant increase in pay to fight Francis Ngannou. Francis wants a significant pay increase to fight Jon Jones. The UFC is like, to hell with all that. And so for months upon months, we the fans completely get jerked around. Now understand this. This talk about Jon Jones moving up to the heavyweight division is not a talk that just started floating around like 2 years ago. No, it's been going on since like 2012. I mean, Jon Jones was actually supposed to move up to the heavyweight division in 2013. So that's why this news of Jon Jones finally moving up to the heavyweight division with a fight actually signed is huge. It's ginormous. It's a massive news for us. And so this means we are going to finally get Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, the current heavyweight champion of the UFC, right? Wrong. Francis Ngannou is no longer in the UFC, and Jon Jones will be fighting Ciryl Gane for the vacant title. Wait, what? I know, exhausting. But why though? Well, the short version of it is the UFC is done with Francis Ngannou, and Francis Ngannou is done with the UFC. Both parties simply could not come to an agreement. Now, if you ask Dana White, he'll tell you that Francis Ngannou was offered enough money to make him the highest paid heavyweight in UFC history, and the only reason he turned it down is because he wants to fight lesser competition for more money.
We offered Francis a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in the history of the company. More than Lesnar, more than anybody. And he turned the deal down. So, I don't know, we get to this point where I've told you guys this before. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money. So we're gonna let him do that. We're going to release him from his contract. We're going to give up our right to match, and he can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Bullshit, Dana. Bullshit. To paint Francis Ngannou as a man who is afraid of anyone, and the reason he left is because he wants to fight lesser competition for more money, is completely absurd, bro. Like, you're insinuating that Francis Ngannou is afraid of fighting Jon Jones, like we've somehow forgotten that he's been asking to fight Jon Jones since like 2020. I mean, did we all forget both of them going back and forth on Twitter? Man, it's incredible how Dana White does it. If you and him are good and he wants the narrative to go your way, then suddenly you're a stud. You'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. But if you're not on his good sides and he wants the narrative to go against you, then suddenly you're afraid. You want to fight lesser competition. You don't really want to fight even though you're calling for the fight. I mean, he was just doing the same thing to Jon Jones. Do you guys remember what Dana White said about Jon Jones after Francis Ngannou KO'd Stipe Miocic to win the heavyweight title?
Man, the idea of a Jon Jones fight seems awfully exciting right now. And Jon came out, tweeted, said, "Show me the money." What appeals to you most? Because it seems like that would be an amazing super fight.
If I'm Jon Jones and I'm home watching this fight, I start moving to 85.
You think that's a fight that you'd like to put together next? I mean, I know we don't matchmake, but that sure does seem exciting.
Listen, I could sit here all day and tell you, what show me the money mean? I tell you guys this all the time. If you can say you want to fight somebody, but do you really want to?
Yeah, now he wants you to believe that Francis Ngannou, who he just said Jon Jones is afraid of, is now the one that's afraid of Jon Jones and wants to leave to go fight lesser competition.
I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money.
I mean, make it make sense, Dana. I mean, you can't, because this is clearly an attempt to make Francis look bad on his way out. You guys didn't agree, you were not able to come to terms, and instead of parting ways in a classy way, you had to try to paint the guy to look like a man who's afraid of Jon Jones, and I think that's just slimy. Now, if you talk to Francis Ngannou, you'll realize that it's not just about the money to him. It's also about freedom, and he actually does a pretty good job of explaining what freedom means to him.
The world, what do you want? What is it about them? Freedom is, but what are you looking for? Is there anything specific that you can share? I know you don't have to go through your whole entire life goal here, but what is it that's really bugging you about what they're offering and what maybe they're not offering?
The term of the contract, everything that they put into, they hold you in captivity. You can't do anything, you have no right. The contract is one-sided. Although you still don't have nothing, you don't even have a health insurance while you're doing this, putting your body on the line to put on the show, risking everything. There's a lot of things, man. We have no insurance, nothing, no guarantee, which I understand for independent contractor, but treat me as such then, if I am. I mean, whether I'm going to be an employer or an independent contractor, but make it very clear in the contract.
He's an independent contractor who doesn't have the freedom of an independent contractor. And he's an employee who doesn't have the protections and insurances that an employee is supposed to get. So what the hell is he? And that's the core problem that Francis Ngannou has with the UFC. It wasn't just about money, it was way more than that. It was about him feeling respected by Dana and the UFC, and he just wasn't. He wanted a better contract, a contract that, yes, of course, will pay him what he believes that he is worth, but also a contract that's going to match what you're saying that he is. If he's an independent contractor, well then give him a contract that reflects that. And if he's an employee, well then give him a contract that also reflects that. Don't give him a contract that doesn't make sense to him, refuse to come to an agreement with him, and then try to paint him out to be like a guy who's afraid to fight Jon Jones. It's completely unfair. It's not that he's scared. He's not scared of anyone. And it's not just about the money. I mean, the fact that, according to Dana White, he turned down a contract that would have made him the highest paid UFC heavyweight ever, even higher than Brock Lesnar, that should be proof enough that it wasn't just about the money for Francis Ngannou. It was way more than that. It was about respect as well, about getting the freedom that he believed that he deserved. And so now he's gone. Now he's free. And whether you believe that him leaving the UFC is a miscalculation on his part that's going to end up hurting his career in the long run, or you believe it was a smart move for Francis and now he's going to make more money as well as get what he needs in his contract, the one thing that you cannot deny is that the man is a man of principle. And that's something that I'm always going to respect in a man. And so there you have it. Jon Jones will be fighting Ciryl Gane on March 4th of 2023 at UFC 285. Now, this fight against Ciryl Gane might end up actually being a more complex fight for Jon Jones than his potential fight versus Francis Ngannou, because, I mean, Ciryl Gane is a heavyweight. He moves very well. He's powerful. He has very elite striking. And he's most definitely going to be more prepared for Jon Jones's wrestling than he was for Francis Ngannou's wrestling when they fought. A lot of people have talked about how Francis was able to ragdoll Ciryl Gane, which, somehow translates to Jon Jones will be able to do the same. But I think people are forgetting that there was also a level of surprise for Ciryl Gane when Francis did what he did. He came into that fight against Francis expecting that it was going to be a striking match because, well, that's what Francis is known for. He's a striker. He's a powerful guy. And so when Francis transformed the fight into from a striking match into a grappling match, I'm pretty sure that was a very big surprise for Ciryl Gane. He probably wasn't expecting to get grappled. But I think going into this fight against Jon Jones, it is something that they are going to expect Jon is going to definitely want to do as a man who has a very extensive background in wrestling, a man who at one point had the highest submission rate in the light heavyweight division. He's definitely going to want to take this fight to the ground against Ciryl Gane, and I think he's going to be more ready for that. But I am not giving my official predictions just yet. We're going to look at the fight a bit deeper in the future. We'll talk about it more. And then we'll go from there. Overall, though, I'm just excited that we're finally going to see Jon Jones in the heavyweight division. I think he got very lax in the light heavyweight division. He cleared out the weight class. He defeated a lot of legends in that weight class. And I think moving up to the heavyweight division is going to give him a new sense of motivation. He's going to be facing opponents that he's never seen before, opponents that are way more dangerous, and he's going to have a chance to win the most prestigious title in the UFC, which is the heavyweight title of the world. And I think because of all this, we're going to see a whole new level of Jon Jones, right? Whether that's going to be enough for him to get it done in the heavyweight division, that is still yet to be seen. But either way, it is very, very, very interesting and very exciting. The man, Jon Jones, finally in the heavyweight division, and I can't wait to see how this one goes.